to look at the transitive and intransitive verbs. That's what I intend to look at today with us. I know you have a lot of knowledge about this. So in case you know anything about this, you can still share. Okay. Atino, you want to remind us about active and passive?
Okay, teacher. When we're learning about the active voice, you told us now that the active voice is used when the subject of the sentence is doing the action, isn't it? Like when you gave us an example of my mother sings the song, then the passive voice is used when we focus on the object of the sentence.
That is very true. That in the active, we know that the subject does the action. We are interested in the doer of the action. But later on, when we change it to passive, we shall be more interested in the object that received the action. And that action is usually our verb. So today what we're going to look at, you'll see in the middle there, I will bring a relationship between the the passive and the transitive verb. So definitely we shall look at it. Thank you so much, Atina, for sharing.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other person now? Maybe we can leave that. Okay, there's Anita. Anita, your hand is up. Let's talk about today. Let's talk about what we are going to handle today. Transitive and intransitive verbs. If you have any idea of any of these, you can share with me. I would love to hear from you in terms of transitive and intransitive verbs. What are they? What do you remember learning about them? Are we together? What can you tell me about the transitive and intransitive verbs? By show of hands. No one can even try. I don't want to preach alone. I want us to share. So tell me whatever you have. Don't be afraid to share. Tell us what you remember. Maybe it is the right thing. Even if it's the wrong thing, no one really is going to penalize you. Dennis, Desire, Grace, Barbara, Cravens, someone at least should try. Someone at least should try. You put up your hand. I give you a chance to explain one or two things that you remember about the transitive and intransitive verbs. Yes, class. Okay, Rogers. Did you give it a try? Yes, Rogers, your hand is up. I've asked you to unmute. Okay, it seems Rogers. Eliano? Eliano, you may unmute. Mr. Otto?
Transitive verbs are verbs which must be followed by an object to be meaningful.
Okay, they are words that require a direct object to make. What do you mean? What do you mean when you say to be meaningful? Yes, Eliano, what do you mean when you say to be meaningful? She has given us the correct answer, that one, under transitive. She's very right. But what do you mean by to be meaningful? Yes, your hand is still up.
The action of the transitive verb is always transferred from the subject to the direct object.
Okay, for example.
A person or a thing that is affected by the action verb.
This one is not more about, I want the meaning when you say that they require direct objects to make meaning. Those verbs that require direct objects. What do you mean that for them to make meaning, they require direct object? You could explain through using an example maybe so that we can understand you.
For example, he blew the trumpet. Blew is the action verb and trumpet is the direct object.
Okay, so if I just said he blew,
Would not know what that person blew.
okay, so that is very correct. Thank you so much. That is a nice one. I will keep that one. Zach his hand is up. Yes, Zach, I've asked you to unmute. Yes, Zach. Okay. Since Zach is playing hide and seek, you unmute him, he mutes again. Right. So I will use the example given to us by Eliano Ariso. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, there's Joanita here before I go. Yes, Joan.
Transitive verbs are the verbs that can transfer, they can change.
They can change how so? Okay, your network. Zach, in case you can hear, please do share. In case you cannot, then use the chat. I will receive your answer. I want to go with Eliano's answer when she said that transitive verbs are those that require a direct object to make meaning. For example, if someone tells you he blew and kept quiet, the question would be, what did he blow? It is incomplete. That sentence cannot make meaning.
Teacher is busy.
Okay, if he's busy, then it's just okay. Keep your microphone muted. Let us get back to what I was trying to say. That if someone gives you an example tells you that he blew, full stop, such a sentence is not complete. And maybe before I go to that, who can remind us a complete sentence structure? Last week, again, we looked at it. For us to say that a sentence is complete, what are those key elements? What are those key elements in a sentence that should be given to make a complete meaning? Or not meaning, but rather to give it a complete structure. Joanne.
Mary is eating food.
For that sentence to be a sentence, what are the elements in that sentence?
The sentence should have a verb. And
what is Mary in your sentence?
Mary and a noun.
Really? Okay, yes, nouns usually are, but now you see nouns are not specific because even the object can be a noun, even the subject can be a noun. So I want you to be more specific. Let me take on Ashley. Yes, Ashley. Yes, Ashley.
Teacher, for a sentence to be complete, I think it should have a subject, an object, and the action, which you may also call the verb.
Yes.
Now, like, now, like, let me say, like a sentence like Mary is eating food. Mary is the subject.
Mhm.
Eating is the verb or the action. And then food is the object.
Thank you so much. So for us today, we want to look at that also and try to give us a different angle of things. So we are saying here that these transitive verbs are those verbs that directly require that object. When you, for example, when you use in your sentence like he blew the trumpet, in that sentence, if we simply say he blew, blew is now our action, which is the verb. So that verb does not make meaning on its own. It requires a direct object for it to make complete meaning. So that's what we are trying to say, that some verbs do not stand on their own. So I want us to look at here. That's just the quotation. You can always look at it. But I'm more interested in our getting to understand what object and transitive and intransitive verbs are. However, today, this is what will guide us in this lesson. We shall be guided by these lesson objectives. We need to be able to know the difference between transitive and intransitive verbs by the end of this lesson. Make our own lists of transitive and intransitive verbs by using the dictionary. This time I'm going to be strict. We will only use the dictionary, and I will advise that you use the soft copy. Even if you have the hard copy, it's well. Then to make different sentences using the transitive verbs, transitive and intransitive words that you have picked from the dictionary. We shall practice them. So these are our lesson objectives today. They will help us to steer our lesson so that we know why we are here. We are here to know the difference between transitive and intransitive verbs and generate a list of those verbs and be able to use them in different sentences and see how they make meaning. So I want to go straight to what we're saying. Transitive verbs, what are they? And here I try to say that these are verbs which require direct objects to make meaning in a sentence. Let us look at this sentence here, for example. Let me use my attenuation here. For those who are there, I want you to look at this sentence. This is our focus today. If you look at this example, the hunter killed. By show of hands, who can identify here the subject and the verb? By show of hands. Who can help us by show of hands? Who can identify in that statement? Sabir. Yes, Sabir, come in. Yes, Sabir. Okay, since this network is a problem. Olivia? Olivia?
Yes, good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Okay, could you identify for us?
The subject is the hunter and the verb is killed.
Yes. So when you're given this sentence, for example, what do you understand here? Does this make sense to you? Is it a complete sentence?
It's not a complete sentence, sir.
Why?
Because it doesn't mention what the object is.
It does not.
It just shows. It doesn't mention the object. What it is referred to. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we are saying that some verbs. Okay, some verbs are that tricky that they do not make complete meaning without an object. Therefore, we require to put an object that receives the action. This verb requires this action here desires an object to make meaning. That's why I say that the above sentence contains a subject and a verb, but it's incomplete simply because the hunter must have killed something. In other words, the verb killed needs a noun or pronoun apart from its subject to complete the meaning. So there are such verbs, and those verbs we call them transitive verbs, those that require direct objects. The other example we're given by Eliane was, she gave us an example of blue. That is yet another action verb. It required something for it to make meaning. So as a class, what are those other verbs that you have made, or those incomplete sentences that you have made that do not make meaning without an object? So as a class, we are going to generate a list of them using our dictionary. So I hope you have your dictionary with you, because we are going to generate a list of those words to add on what I have for us to make meaning of those words. After generating, then we shall go down and look at the different sentences that can come from there. However, please verify those words in your dictionary before we use them. Are they transitive? Or even if you can debate on them if they are transitive or intransitive. Have you understood? If you have a question at this point, please, by show of hands, I am allowing you to ask before we transition. If you have a question, you can ask. Sabir, your hand is up.
Yes, I don't have a dictionary, but you may allow me to record the notes down to record, maybe.
That's okay.
Okay.
Okay, next person. In case you have any question, you can be able to put up. Faith's hand was up, but she has scattered. So if you have understood, that is good. I want us to proceed to understand, especially by making our own list of transitive verbs, those verbs which require a direct object for them to make meaning. So for this case, for us to have made a complete sentence, we should have said, a hunter killed an antelope. So the noun which that verb required, or the object which that verb killed required, is the antelope. It could be anything else. It could be maybe killed a rat, killed a lion, killed this. So you must give at least a direct object. Faith? Yes, Faith, your hand is up. Seems your network is not stable. Find a way to put your network right. I'll be waiting. So in the above statement, the noun antelope is said to be the object of the verb killed. It now makes a complete statement, or it makes the statement complete. So let us, yes, Faith? Okay. A network. So that is what we are saying. So do you know any other verbs which fall in this category, apart from now killed or kill, because in its present simple it would be kill. So you may not give them always in the past tense. We can have them in the present simple tense. Then when we are giving the sentence, we can have them in any other tense. So, however, I'm interested, do you know any other verbs that require a direct object for them to make meaning? Karen? Karen, your hand is up.
Coat.
Coat, yes, yes. Or now if in present simple, it would be catch. Are we together? Yes, I qualify catch. I think catch is okay. That is, thank you so much. So those who are noting, you put them down. Crevens? Olivia? Yes, Crevens?
Take.
Fight.
Fight? Fight, are you sure? Take, yes, Crevens, I'll take take. Yes, that is true. Take can be qualified. Asimwe, what was the verb you're using?
Fight.
Fight, for example. For example. Okay, she has run away. Grace.
Still.
Still. Which, pardon?
Still.
Still.
You take someone.
Okay, yes. I think still can qualify. That is true. Thank you. Still, we can take still. Here is a Dennis.
Look.
Look. Okay, look. Yes, if you say she looked, the question would be looked at what? Okay, thank you. Next person, let me see. Winnie Angelica.
Bite.
Bite? Yes, bite is okay. Thank you. I will check bite. Linda Pretty.
Teacher Brush.
Brush. Can you make a sentence for us?
Ivan went to brush the toilet.
Of all things, okay. Imagine you had just stopped at brush. It would not sound complete if you had just said Ivan went and brushed, full stop. So we shall try to look at that it will not make sense if you just stopped at Ivan brushed. Someone will, the verb brushed there requires a complete statement, rather requires to be completed, and therefore we shall give it an object that receives the action. Rogers, you can give us an example.
Play.
Play. You can give us a complete example.
He played.
Is that complete?
Okay, he played football yesterday.
Okay, so you will have to be specific. What did he play? Did he play cards? Did he play football? You know, did he play hide and seek? Did he? So some of those verbs, those are the ones we are looking at. Thank you so much for sharing. So even me, I generated a list of my verbs that I thought you would also need, like you have given me yours. I also have a list of those verbs here. And coincidentally, some of them have been mentioned. For example, beat, catch, kill, keep, brush. So all those. So these are some of the words or some of the verbs that are transitive verbs. So I have generated a list of them. And I've also insisted that these verbs require an object to make meaning. That you cannot simply say that he held. Someone will ask you, what did he hold? You cannot tell us he broke. It will be incomplete. What did he break? Like someone said, he brushed. We would love to know, what did he brush? Was it his shoes? He built. So these are some of the words that when we use them, they require a direct object for them to make meaning. That is what we are saying. So at this point, if you have a hand, not to give another example, but simply to share with us, rather ask question, your hand can remain up. In case you don't have any question, you may put your hand down. Yes, Stella?
Yes, teacher, I wanted to ask, if you said he was killed, do you need an object, or is my sentence out of line?
Now, that is now the second part. Actually, the third one I'll be looking at. That there's what we call different sentence. For example, now that the meaning of the sentence is different. Are we together?
Yes.
Yes, they're the different, the meaning of the sentence is different. So there are times where the same word is used as transitive and intransitive. We shall look at them also. Are we together? Because if you look at our sentences here directly, the way they are, we have a clear subject and the verb only. Are we together? Very simple sentences. Are we together? So the nature of the sentence you have brought in gives it a different meaning, which will now require it. We shall now neglect having an object, and yet we are looking at the transitive.
Thank you.
So it is the nature. Yes, the nature of the sentence is now what is not within the simple sentences that we are looking at to make meaning of the transitive and intransitive. Any other question? Nakato. Yes, Nakato. Linda. Linda. Okay. Agatha. Agatha. Okay, it seems Agatha is also not present. So that is, so with this verbs that I have given, you can make sentences. You can use this or you can add your own. So now I want to look at the second type, which is the total opposite of this one. That is intransitive. They are the total opposite of the the total opposite of transitive. So in transitive, there's a verb which do not require a direct object to make meaning. For example, the hunter laughed. Here, we do not require an object because we all know that it is automatic that we sorry about that. My network. I hope you can see my screen. Stella, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'd gone off slightly. I was still giving you that at this point, the object is obvious. Are we together? The object is obvious. That's what I was trying to let you know. that at this point the object is obvious. So even if you do not mention the object, it is obvious. That's what I'm trying to mean when we say that we do not require an object. When you laugh, we know that what you laugh is laughter. What you sing is songs. So the object is obvious. So we do not mention the object. Therefore, the sentence on its own makes complete sense alone. The sentence above does not have an object, but it's complete simply because the verb laughed does not require a direct object to make meaning. I don't know if that makes sense to you, that there are those words we say and we do not need to, you do not need to say that my mother sings songs, because it is obvious that when we sing songs. When you cough, for example, those are words which are obvious. He coughed. You do not need to ask, why did he cough? Why did he sing? Because it's obvious. Those are the verbs we are looking at. Those that do not require a direct object to make meaning. So alone, they can stand and make meaning. Once applied in a sentence, they do not require a direct object because the action is obvious. Asimu Olivia, your hand is up. Asimu, your hand is up. Okay, it seems some people's hands. Stella, your hand is up. You want to say something? Stella, your hand is up. Do you want to say something?
No, no, I forgot to put it down.
Okay, I've lowered it for you. Sabir? Yes, Sabir?
Yes, I am confused in this issue of the hunter laughed. It also sometimes doesn't show sense because he laughs because of what? Maybe this.
Sabir, we are not looking for the reason. We are looking for
There's some kind of.
Sabir.
Yes, sir.
What is an object?
An object.
An
object is what is preferred in the sentence by the subject.
What do you mean preferred?
The hunters is actually doing action on the object.
Now, for example, I'm not looking at why he laughed, but what he laughed. For example, when we said the hunter killed, we did not say why did he kill. We looked at what he killed. Do you understand? So we are not looking for the reason. We are not looking for the reason, but we are looking for the object that received the action. So here, for example, what I mean is that it is not important for you to tell me that he laughed laughter, because that would be now the direct object. Are we together? We are not looking for the reason. Maybe he laughed because his friends said this. No, we are looking at the object that received the action. So we are not looking at the why, but what.
Okay.
So for you, your action, what you've understood me.
Yes, I have understood now.
Okay, we are not looking at the what. I mean, we're not looking at the why, but we are looking at the what. What received the action. So that is what we should keep in our mind. Okay, next person. Sabir, you can lower your hand and then mute yourself. Okay. This person, Jenna, I don't understand. You want to speak, but you're in a very noisy place.
So please just help me. Don't again put up your hand because you are confusing me. You're not speaking, and at the same time, your hand is constantly up. Okay. Let's put you in the waiting room. Don't. Yes, Goretti. Goretti. Goretti, your network is a little disturbing. Goretti, look for a good network area.
Yeah, teacher, I wanted to give another example, which is die.
Or which is under intransitive.
Yes.
It's okay, you give me one, then I continue explaining.
Die.
Die. Oh, yes. Could you give me an example? A sentence?
Mr. Otto died.
Could you use another name? I don't want to bury my colleague today.
Okay, Mr. Joshua died.
Okay, Mr. Joshua died. You do not have to say died death. Are we together? It is obvious that when we all die, we die. Generally, it's death that has occurred to us. So you do not need to clearly tell us anything. Okay. Maybe let me continue before I bring back. Sabir, your hand is again up. You want to ask something?
Yeah, I actually want to give an example of what she just mentioned, die.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I have this one. What if you say the patient died due to heart attack?
Now, for you, you're giving us the reason. You have not yet understood me. Have you understood transitive verbs?
Transitive verb.
Yes.
I understand.
What did I say about? Right? What did I say about transitive verbs?
Transitive verb, those are verbs that did not require indirect things or object.
That is the total opposite of what I said. I've said transitive.
Yes, transitive verbs.
The first ones we looked at, what did we say?
Can you just, okay, you tell me, maybe I forgot.
I said that transitive verbs, the very first ones, for example, if I said Sabir killed, the verb killed requires an object because we need to know what did he kill, not why did he kill. Are we together?
Okay.
We are saying what did Sabir kill? Now we must mention the object in when we use verbs like kill. We have not looked at why, because even if we're looking at why, we would have said Sabir killed the boy because. No, we are not looking at the because. We are simply looking at what did Sabir kill. What Sabir killed is the object. What Sabir laughed is the object. He laughed laughter. Now we do not need in the intransitive verbs to use the object because the object is obvious. When you say Joshua,
I started getting you.
Yes, when you say Joshua died, we are not saying why did Joshua die, but what did Joshua die? Joshua died death. So it is not obvious for us to say that Joshua died death. No, but we simply say, oh, it makes sense when you say Joshua died. It does not require an object.
All right. Now I get you, sir. Now I understand. Okay. Thank you, sir, so much.
You're welcome. Do not give reason, however, give the what.
Okay.
Okay, so you look for an example.
Now, in this occasion, I have to make the difference between intransitive and intransitive.
Yes, that is why I said our lesson objects. The first one was to differentiate between transitive and intransitive verbs.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I go to the next person, Ashraf. Oh, Ashfa. Is it Ashif? Kimich. Kimich. She has run away. Fatin, Hannah.
Teacher,
Yes.
my dog ran. My dog ran.
My dog ran.
Ran.
Okay. That can also be okay. My dog ran. Another person. I wanted to complete explaining. I thought people have questions. Prudence, I hope you have a question. I wanted to first handle questions. And then Hilda. Hilda.
Teacher, morning.
Morning to you, how are you?
Teacher, it's just like I'm class right now. I'm now sitting on the board and
I beg your pardon?
I've just joined right now and I'm having a look on the board that it is having
Okay, you have issues with your network. That is the
transitive
first.
verbs. I'm complete.
Don't copy only what you've just seen. I've already sent this work to your Google Classroom. What I'm saying here is, or what you're struggling to do, today we are looking at the difference between transitive and intransitive verbs. That's what we are focusing on today as a class, to differentiate between transitive and intransitive verbs. That is our focus today. So if you have just joined, you should know that is what we are focusing on today, the difference between transitive and intransitive verbs. So I hope that is. Okay, I want to complete explaining, then maybe I take more hands. Derek, last hand, Derek, then I continue.
Are you hearing me, sir?
Beg your pardon?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
I wanted to give another sentence which says that John moved. I wanted to add on those intransitive verbs.
Intransitive verbs.
Intransitive verbs.
Oh, you are giving transitive the other side. Okay, fine. Let me now go and explain something here. Then maybe we can give more meaningful sentences under the guidance of what I will say next. So I've already explained what they are intransitive, that these do not require direct object to make meaning, because most times the object, or rather the action in itself, is complete. Laughing is complete, or laughed is complete in such a way that the object that would be placed there is obvious. So I want us to continue here. Examples are here. A list of intransitive verbs. We have die, someone already mentioned it, laugh, sing, win, lie, arrive. So these are the ones. We shall make more sentences here. However, I'm interested in this other explanation, that while looking at the passive and the active voice last time, I remember we looked at it, we noticed that in the passive voice, the object becomes the subject, because our focus in the passive is the object. For example, we have them here. They are sweeping the room. Our focus now will be the room. That's why in the passive we say the room is being swept. This is in present continuous. A hunter killed the antelope. This ant should not be there. This ant should not be there. The hunter killed the antelope. Our focus is the antelope, or an antelope. An antelope was killed by a hunter. This was in the passive. The relationship is here. Normally, therefore, it is only transitive verbs which can be used in the passive voice. I repeat, it is only transitive, those that take direct object. Because, for example, now what I mean is you cannot use an intransitive verb, or you cannot use intransitive verbs in the passive voice simply because they do not have the subject. A sentence like Peter died. Now, how do you change that sentence to passive voice? You cannot, because there is no direct object. However, if you had maybe a sentence like the girls swept the room, you would be able to change that into passive voice because the swept at that point is a transitive verb, one that requires a direct object. So you must have swept something, the room, the house, you know, the bedroom, something at least must have been swept. So the connection here is that it is only transitive verbs which can be used in the passive voice. So for you, when you are dealing with your sentences, make sure that if you're constructing your own sentences, do not use intransitive verbs, because you will not be able to change them back to to passive. In other words, they are not passive. There's no way you can change an intransitive verb to a passive voice. That is the connection that I wanted us to share today. The example is here. I hope you can look at that. So that I hope that makes sense to us. Example, the antelope died can never be changed to the passive voice because died has no object. So you cannot say died antelope. No. Now, I don't know how to handle this person called Zach.
I'm new to this lesson.
Pardon?
To this everything.
And you have been disturbing me the entire lesson. You are in a very noisy
I'm sorry,
place.
I was busy. There's something I was doing. Sorry.
If you're busy, then don't put up your hand. Just the rules are here. This is a school, so we have rules and regulations.
Okay.
If you're new, we shall share with you, Mr. To, if you're listening. There is a new student who joined our Google class. I hope you're in. Are you in the Google Classroom?
No.
Okay, so we are going to share with you all those links for Google Classroom and WhatsApp. Are you in the WhatsApp group?
No.
Okay, we shall share all those things with you so that you're able to join us, but you're welcome. This is a good learning platform, and it's sponsored by Edify, Christian School Association. All that information will be given to you, so you're most welcome.
Okay.
But next time when you're busy, you wait, then you ask later. I will give you my number perhaps, and then maybe let me send you my number direct, and then we continue with this class.
I don't have a line.
You're using a PC?
No, a tablet.
A tablet. There's no line. Okay, fine. I'm going to share with you the links here. The links will help you. Okay. Next. If we have understood that, well and good. Let me now take you to the next session. Stella, your hand is up. You want to ask a question?
Yes, teacher. I wanted to ask, when you said Joseph died,
And you said death occurred to Joseph.
Now that is totally a different format. Are we together? That I think takes us to, there's another grammar rule that skipped my head. However, here we are looking at, for example, when you say in the transitive, we are looking at within the difference of transitive and intransitive, that for the, in case we're supposed to have given, the verb die an object, it would be, for example, Joseph died death. Already grammatically, that would not be possible. Are we together? Stella, are you still on?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, we're saying that grammatically already that would not be possible for us to say, oh, it's not meaningful for us to say maybe Joseph died death. Grammatically already that is not right. So we are saying for that case, it is only those verbs which take a direct object. Only those that take a direct object like kill that can be used in the passive voice. So we are looking at the grammatical competence and the simple structure of the sentences. That one, it would be okay only if die was taking a direct object of death. Under complex sentence structure, that would apply. However, for us, we are looking at this under simple structure that you cannot give die a direct object of death. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So we shall only use verbs which take direct object, which are the transitive verbs. So we shall not force them to take on the objects when they are not supposed to be. However, when we are looking at other complex sentences, that can happen. However, for your level now, for our very first lesson, we shall only take this one as a way of connecting the passive voice to the transitive verbs. Otherwise, you'll find that everyone is pushing all transitive and intransitive to passive voice, which would be wrong. Okay, so I want to go back. Now, there are words which are often confused. That is, for example, if we are to look at the words like raise and rise, R-A-I-S-E versus R-I-S-E. Those are some of the words. So you need to look up for them in the dictionary. You realize that in the dictionary, you will be told that raise is a transitive verb. And then rise is an intransitive verb. So you can have such words that are often confused. You write them down, then you make different sentences. Which one requires an object? We have said transitive verbs definitely. To rise requires an object. Then to raise does not require an object. So that's what we are saying. So you look out for those words. I'm also going to give us those words. They are the ones I will give as an exercise. I will require you to determine if the word is transitive or intransitive. So I'll give you a list of about, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 to 7 words. And then I'll also require you to let me know if they are transitive or intransitive, and then you formulate sentences under each of them. So that's what we shall be looking at today. I've shared this work as material, but now I'm going to share this as a simple exercise, or I can make it into a quiz, whatever we are flexible with, and then we call it a lesson. So that's what I had for us today. Let us not forget that these lessons are proudly sponsored by Edify. They're the ones who are making everything possible. And then Christian Schools Association and ETAU. These are partners in making sure that we are learning. So we shall always thank God for them.
They are non-profit organizations, definitely. They are making sure that all students who are at home learn. So as students, make sure you remember always to thank God for such people. Maria, your hand is up.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
Teacher?
Yes.
Okay, so teacher, some of us are not on the WhatsApp group thing. So I wanted to get the WhatsApp group number.
Okay, it's just a link. That link is what you can follow and you can be able to reach there. Let me see if I can get you a simple link here that can get you there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to type a link now.